Okay, and
everything that lives is
both the runners are off now.
We are perpetually trapped.
Okay, so this is
a
race in any percent category.
Is this a curse or some kind of punishment?
So this is basically a race to get ending A first. We won't be getting any other endings, hopefully, during this run.
To kill him.
This is command.
So the game opens up with just a short amount of waiting before we actually get into some shoot 'em up sections. Just as we begin the game, do this prologue level. So there's not too much that can be done to speed up the game at this point, outside of taking a little bit of extra damage, which will allow us to use some extra items, which we'll see, and just memorizing the waves of enemies that come.
Origin point of long-range lasers confirmed. B down. Our HO229 cancelers are ineffective.
Alert. Enemy unit sighted ahead.
Okay, so now we're going to start seeing some enemies spawning.
Permission granted.
Both players there just pushing one of the AI just a little bit to the left, just to get us some fast kills there. You can see both players taking extra damage from those big red lasers, just to use up some items, speed up that menu in. Okay, and both players here actually pushing one AI off the side of the screen here. That's going to actually allow them to take out, well, hopefully 3 of those enemies. Just get a slightly faster wave there. Looks like wschseng has a very, very slight lead here.
Permission granted. Captain, I think
4B down.
Well, both players are coming out of that basically the exact same time.
To operator 6-0. All allied units down. The operation is compromised. Awaiting further orders.
Operator to 2B. We need you to rendezvous with Unit 9S and begin gathering data on the local terrain.
Understood.
Okay, so we've just got a tiny bit more shooter to go, and then we'll be transitioning into the main way we'll be playing the game from here on. So yes, this game is not actually a shoot 'em up in disguise. Okay, just killing that fidget spinner there, the last enemy. Seeing that on wschseng's screen, it looks like Shabu coming out of that crash section only just before wschseng. That was very close coming out of there. And we are entering how we're going to be playing the game now. It's a third-person action RPG, so you will probably notice off the bat both of the participants throwing a sword out, doing this spinning sword attack, which is just done by dashing and heavying. This actually does around 5 times the damage of a regular attack, so you'll be seeing both runners pretty much use exclusively that for combat. Also, you might notice some steam coming off of enemies, some red faces. They'll be mashing the flashlight to taunt enemies, which gives another little buff as well to the damage we do and also the damage that enemies do. But we're coming into Marks 1 here. Fairly simple boss fight. Just got to do as much damage as fast as possible to get this dialogue playing. Then we're gonna do a bit more damage, just get him to his threshold, and wait for this dialogue to finish. Well, both players absolutely at the exact same point, pretty much. Okay, so we're seeing a nice little skip here called crane skip, because we use the crane. Just skips a nice long section of running around to essentially get here. It looks like Sheng just having a few problems there with that.
Do it.
But he manages to pick that up fine.
So open.
Shabu coming into the second silo here.
Nothing's ever easy.
And now he's going to take out these flyers. We're going to see if he tries to fire off a laser. He's going to try and line them up. So, yep, we managed to take out 1 or 2 there, so it's fine. We've seen Sheng do the same. That's a very nice laser from Sheng. That looked like it took out 3. Okay, Shabu coming up to bridge skip now. One of, well, probably the hardest skip in Prologue, but he gets it first time. He's a pro. It's described as one of the harder tricks in the game. We essentially have to use all of the vertical movement that we have to climb an incredibly high distance. Sheng getting it there second or third time, so that's good to see from both runners. And just another slight little out of bounds there, just to take a beeline instead of having to go around all this lava. Shabu getting sideways on with those enemies so he can shoot a laser at them. Can just speed up this fight a little bit more. Yeah. And Shabu there taking out another 2 enemies with that laser. There's a spot you can line up that can take out 4, which is quite nice, but it's safe to take out 3, and it's always good to just get that. It's better than missing like the last few. Both players very close. And we're going to see if either player does Engel swag here. Looks like Shabu, both the players are going for it.
Moved it somewhere?
Ooh, Shabu gets it. Looks like Sheng just came up a little bit short there, but he's got it the second try. That was still a beautiful thing to see. The doubles Engel swag.
Check it out. It's not like Command to get a location wrong. I guess even they get bad.
Both of the players very, very close here. Just coming into another boss fight, if you can't tell. And this is Marks 2 that we can see here. Pretty much the same as the first time around, except now he has another arm with a big whirly saw on it. So the quick strat to kill this boss is actually to throw out two of those damage glitches as it's doing its initial attack, and then we have enough time to just be able to just damage it on that last attack. Just keep up the pod fire there to drop it and move on with the next boss, the big boss of the prologue, Engels. So coming up on the second part of this boss fight, a big RNG check. Well, not huge, but one of the bigger ones in the run. Engels has, I believe, 5 attacks, maybe 4. One of those attacks is very, very slow. But for the moment, in this first part, we're just going to see both players just trying to keep the damage up. We're going to try and hit a threshold here on him. So that attack on Sheng's screen now, we're not going to want to see that very shortly. That is the attack that's very long, and it's actually here on Shabu's screen. Oh, and Shabu's actually got the punches. That's the attack right where we don't want to see it. Oh, and Sheng also has got punches. Well, it's bad to see, but if it's happening to both players, then they can share the misery of that RNG. So that attack actually wastes, I believe, somewhere around 25 seconds. Somewhere in that region. It's an incredibly slow attack.
Alert. Incoming enemy attack from below. Proposal. Evade.
So that's normally the big reset point for runs. With it being so early on, obviously with this being a race, we're not going to see either player reset here. And both players choosing to take the left pipe, which is a little bit questionable. There is a slight rift in the community between people who use the left pipe and people who use the right pipe. And look at that, Shabu abandoning the pipe there, right at the end. I'd like to think he's changed his ways and he's going to use the right pipe from now on, but I'm not entirely sure that will be the case. Okay, and now we're going to see Shabu coming up on our first lift game. Now this is an aerial tech that we can do on angled steep surfaces, and what that allows us to do is actually do a lift and then another lift immediately after. It effectively gives us another jump in the air, so that's very nice. Both players are skipping a cutscene there, and they're going to deal with these enemies that drop down here, dubbed ninjas. Call that because they will evade everything that you throw out. Both players still extremely close. So with this boss, once again, a lot of evading attacks, waiting out dialogues. A bit of a theme for some of these earlier bosses.
I didn't know the machines had that kind of intelligence. I found a weakness in the target, hacking in to provide support.
So there's going to be a tiny bit more RNG coming up here. When 2B tells 9S to shut up, we're gonna, Engels is basically scripted to throw out a punch but will move the game on. So, ideally he does that immediately. So as we can see on Shabu's screen there, he was just finishing up an attack from before, so not getting very good RNG on there. And it looks like it was a lot better for Sheng, with them both getting punched at around the same time.
control system.
Affirmative.
But yeah, what we're going to see here is Engel's arm get completely blown off. We're going to take control of it because we can do that, and we're never going to do that again. But we're going to use that to smash Engel's face. That's very nice. So that's usually a very slow attack, but we can actually evade when we hit with that, and it just resets the animation completely, allows us to attack again immediately. And now both players are on the bunker, prologue finished, everything's fine. Both the players are using a little bit of extra movement just to get closer to 9S there. And they're coming up on the menu boss. So this is a big, nice, long bit of menuing coming up. Extremely interesting to watch. We're going to start by adjusting the brightness, then the dialogue in the game, and then we're going to set our self-destruct to on.
Alright, okay. I could... Okay, once...
Correct. Both players completely destroying the menu boss there. Good execution. In the longer categories, you can doubly lose time there, because at the start of B, it plays back what you did. So that's always funny to watch.
Nice.
Huh?
There's
Okay. Both players just mashing through a bit of dialogue here. And we're going to set off. We're going to see Shabu here. Just stopping the game there for a second and talking to 9S. Now this actually opens a dialogue box which can cancel other dialogues. So there's a dialogue there that Shabu cancelled. It looks like Sheng went for
that means we'll be getting flight units, huh?
a weaponless heavy just to move himself as far forward into that door as possible.
Too expensive for us grunts. Too bad they can't mass produce these things yet.
Yep, and we are just going into another shoot 'em up section.
Hey, 2B.
There's another cutscene that you can skip there, which you can do if you hold circle fast enough. Saves a few seconds.
Orders are orders.
Alright.
But yeah, now we're just flying back down to the city. Flying down to basically the world of this game.
Some new weaponry installed from here on out. I'll put up instructions for you. Make sure to commit them to memory.
Roger.
And seeing some of marble strats here. So this is a strat called the Will strat, or something like that. And it's done by flicking the stick very wildly up and down at the diagonals. It can be slow, but if it's fast, it can be very fast.
Bunker to 2B, come in. I've set a landing point for your flight unit.
But yeah, this is still absolutely neck and neck. Like, there must be
The enemy discovering their position.
a second between them.
Good luck down there.
Okay, and both of the players here have now landed on the open world, so that's very nice. So this is basically where we will be playing the game pretty much exclusively from now on, except for a few small times. So both players are now actually punching when they dash. You may have seen in prologue they were actually just spamming dash. So this is the fastest movement we can do in the game at this point.
Just stand there and stare into space. It's pretty
Both of them getting over that barricade, and we're just going to come into the resistance camp now. So this is where we are going to meet the members of the resistance camp that are here on Earth, which are they're going to help us in our fight against the machines. And the first thing we're going to do is tell us to go collect a load of stuff from them and come back with it. So
location data obtained. Marking on map.
it's very nice. Okay, so both players now just going to go do these quests, collect some items, and kill a couple of enemies.
Too bad vegetation's claimed most of it now.
Operator 60 to 2B. It is time for your
So we're
regular
seeing that
maintenance contact.
the dash punching
This
come
is
out from
2B.
both players as
Nothing to
well.
report.
Very
Good
nice.
to hear. Say, how's the weather?
Sheng
on Earth
ever so
these days?
slightly in the
It's
lead
fine.
here, but
Does that question have anything to
extremely
do with our
close.
operation?
Not really. I just
And
figured
we're
it
going to
might
see
feel
both
nice
players
to
probably
have some
use a
good
tiny
weather.
bit of
Feeling nice.
That should
pod
be enough.
slow-mo there.
Let's
So
get
that's
these back to the
something we
trigger.
can do when we hold the pod program button
Wildlife has
down.
claimed most of the
Actually
central
slows
area.
down the
Plants
entire
too.
game, everything other than 2B. So we can use that to slow down the enemies. Just means that we don't get hit by those dudes with the axes.
Wonder if there are any huge boars and such too.
Here there are 3 enemies which will drop items that we need. So we're just going to try and kill those enemies and pick those items up as fast as possible. Yep, Sheng having a very fast quest there.
Okay, that's everything the supply trader asked for. Man, these chores are a real pain in the butt, huh?
Okay,
The
and
resistance is a valuable ally to
looks
your
like
group.
Sheng
By helping them, we also
just
help
coming into the
ourselves.
resistance camp,
So
just
no,
a slight,
we don't
tiny
need
bit
their
there
pain.
behind Shabu.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is extremely close. So we're here upgrading the weapon we have, Virtuous Contract. We're just going to upgrade that to level 2 there. It's essentially free. We get those items from the quests. It's for quest rewards, so why not? Now,
Pod 042 to operator.
both players are heading to the desert now.
Specified by resistance leader.
Understood, 042. Placing marker on target. The desert heat is going to make resupply efforts difficult, 2B. Please make sure you're ready before you go.
So what we're seeing here now from both players is they're actually using a completely different kind of movement now, utilizing the heavy sword that we just upgraded. We're actually doing a heavy right at the end of a dash. And this is even slightly faster than dash punching. And we've seen both players just come up here to our first set of buys of the game. So what we're going to do here, just going to buy a few items, some animal bait, a sachet to stop animals running away from us, a chip for later, a skill chip, some buffs,
Data may be displayed from the system.
melee and ranged up, and some healing items. And that's going to be all that we buy for a while. So we'll make that last. Shouldn't be a problem for either runner. And you'll see them both clipping out there, just behind the save box after picking up a save. So that just allows us to go way direct more route to where we need to go. And we are now going to see both players probably do a skip that quite nice here. Yep, and we just see Sheng Garrett there. So that's just basically, we would normally have to speak to Jackass, who's an NPC there, and she would blow the gate up with explosives. Both players were just, if you plunge out basically between the barricade and the wall, we can get out of bounds there. Both of them are hitting a trigger, which is slightly inbounds there. And they get to actually skip the cutscene there that would take around 5 seconds. So that's very nice. And both players here are actually going not towards their objective, but they're going towards Pod C, which is the missile pod. So the reason we do that is it gives us another pod, basically, which we don't necessarily use for the fact that it shoots missiles, but it's the fact that it gives us another pod program, which is very good against quite a few enemies later in the game. And there are some slides that you can do here in the desert, which just optimal, but and Sheng here just plunging right there onto the side of that rock at the exact same time as an enemy plunges into the floor. What that does is it slides us all the way along. It's very nice. We see Shabu going for it, and Shabu gets it too.
What's that?
Analysis. It is the ruin of a former human.
So that's just a cool way of getting us closer to where we're going to need to be. And we're going to see Sheng here coming up on a pretty big skip, actually. It skips quite a lot of forced cutscenes that we can't skip. Quite a long kind of roundabout walk. He's going to jump up high there and clip in using that window into this building. And now, what he's going to do is he's massively out of bounds here. He's going to do a big jump here, travel a long distance, and actually end up on top of one of the sides of the Adam pit. This is going to allow him to hit a trigger out of bounds here in the air, which is nicely done. He's going to turn himself around and actually do a long jump and then a plunge, and hit that platform there. Just land inside this pit, allowing us to continue the story. So what we've got going on here is we have to kill 9 enemies inside here to make an enemy spawn that we have to kill. So there we go, Sheng getting all 9 of them, really nice. There's a couple of different ways you can do that. That causes that guy to spawn. Once we kill him, we're waiting on a timer. And it looks like Shabu's actually fallen into Adam Pit here. But luckily Shabu knows how to get out of that pit. He's going back up to the platform, so he must have missed the platform on the way down. That's really unfortunate. You don't want to see that. That's going to be a little bit of time lost, but hopefully Shabu's not feeling too discouraged here. There's still plenty of time to win back time. But yeah, we're seeing Sheng here just absolutely murdering these robots. He's going to blow up here just to maximize the amount we can kill. And he's going to go into this fight here against Adam. He's just going to buff up and he's going to throw out some attacks here. And if he manages to throw out enough damage here, he can actually skip one of the minor phases of Adam here. And it looks like he's got that. Yep, no problem at all. And this will actually allow him to just do a double laser up here. And that should completely skip part of this phase. Yep, that's totally worked. Just bringing him onto his last phase here. That was a very clean Adam there from Sheng. Very clean fight. Okay, and we're just going to see Sheng try and be as efficient as possible with his movement going through this next section.
stopped.
The ground's extremely awkward going through here, so it can be quite difficult to maintain.
I've seen a machine like that before. We better report this to command.
You know, maintain any beelines or just optimum movements. Looks like Shabu, unfortunately, not getting the double laser strap there. But we're going to see Sheng here just push this box a little bit less than we should, and he's just going to pod launch there between the gap and actually do a dash to throw himself in between and out the wall there. This allows him to take a bit more of a beeline, and he can get back within the save radius and actually save the game. And that puts him back at the start of desert when he loads, so he's just going to utilize that there, the fact that we use loadless timing.
Maybe we should. No.
Okay, and then you always want to pick the bottom option there. Never want to pick the top one.
Data upload complete.
So that can just waste a lot of time if you do.
Message from the commander. Initiating playback. 2B, 9S. We've lost contact with several Yorha units that were on their way to the surface. Their black boxes are online, so we presume they're still alive.
Okay, and what we're seeing here from Sheng is just going to climb up this route slightly faster than going around this building by around a second. And he's just going to make his way to the amusement park. We're seeing Shabu just attempt the same box clip that Sheng did just before he saved the game.
We should probably check this out as soon as possible. Looks like our surface route's been cut off.
It's a very finicky trick, that. Oh, and it looks like Sheng very nicely plunges down the ladder, but unfortunately still just grabs the bottom of that ladder there. So it's still very, very nice seeing the plunge down the ladder.
To work out unsolvable problems.
I suppose.
He's just going to do a bit of movement at the top of this ladder to avoid the animation that plays once you reach the top of the ladder. So quite lengthy. And we're going to see some aerial movement here. This is just going to allow... Oh, unfortunately Sheng didn't get it, but that would have allowed him to actually skip a trigger to show...
Wow, this is weird.
Well, it would have skipped the a trigger for a cutscene there. It's not too bad. Only saves, I think, once again around 5 seconds or so, if that. But we're going to see a nice long skip here on Sheng's screen called a Let's Play skip. This is actually skipping a very, very large section of the amusement park, essentially all of it, and just utilizing some nice smart out of bounds there. We're going to hit a trigger out of bounds here and then go up and catch the roller coaster. And essentially outside of Beauvoir's boss room, that's more or less pretty much all we're going to see of amusement park. So with the roller coaster, there's not much to say at all, to be honest. It's an auto-scroller. You just sort of wait it out and you jump off once you reach Beauvoir's room, which the game does by itself. And we're seeing Shabu move through the sewers here. He's just coming up on the amusement park.
So what do you think? I mean, if you want to call me Nines, it's totally okay. Oh, all right.
And Shabu getting the skip there to miss the trigger for the cutscene when you enter the amusement park. That's very nice to see. And we're going to see Shabu coming up on the Let's Play clip. Yep, so that's very nice. It's through there, straight across. And Sheng is now dropping into the boss fight with Beauvoir. A lot of runners' favourite boss this.
What the hell?
the big opera singer. She does have some really cool attack, that we probably won't see, but you know, she has some, and it's cool. But yeah, quite a little bit to do in this one. We want to really rack up the damage and keep her as close to the stage as possible. Just for that first stage, essentially, we need to be looking a certain direction when we go into this hacking section. It just allows us to hold straight forward on the left stick and actually go straight forward. So that's hopefully the only time we'll see hacking during the run. There is a good chance that either player may be hacked on this stage of Beauvoir here.
This ends now.
Yeah, very nice from Sheng here, taking out these bodies very fast.
Keep it busy.
You got it.
And then we're going to see Sheng just get Beauvoir to another damage threshold, and 4 more bodies are going to drop. So he's just going to prioritize taking those out, since we can't do any more damage to Beauvoir. And then move back for the very last bit of damage to Beauvoir here for a final phase.
Thanks.
And we're also going to see Sheng actually self-destruct at the end of that fight there, just before that cutscene starts. So that's going to be the setup for something that we'll see the payoff for in a very short amount of time.
So,
What is it?
that machine had some pretty weird things to say, huh? It's almost like it had actual emotion.
The machines don't have feelings. You said that yourself.
Yeah, I guess.
And Shabu's in the fight against Beauvoir here now himself. Looks like he'll just be going into the phase now where you can get hacked. And we're going to see Sheng essentially start going towards the machine village. Shabu there throwing out a laser. Very nice to see. Something that I saw a while back when I was watching some of Blue Metal's old runs. And very good to see that coming back.
So why don't the machines
Very nice.
or the
Not getting
aliens
hacked at all, either
attack the
player.
bunker directly? They originally came here from outer space,
But yep,
right?
looks like
There are a few
Sheng
theories
is
about that, but no one
getting
knows for
extremely
sure.
close now to
Hard to
Pascal's
tell what an
village.
alien is thinking, you know?
They all have white flags.
Looks like they really don't want to fight.
And Shabu just finishing up Beauvoir there. So the first thing we're going to see Sheng do when he arrives here in Pascal's village is just going to pick up that save. And then he's actually going to come back and talk to Pascal. We're going to talk to him twice, because that's how many times we have to. And he's going to give us some oil, which we need to take back to the resistance camp.
We can get into the city ruins if we move that box.
Operator 6022B.
So we're going to see Sheng here try and fit himself through a gap. Oh, and he does. Very nice. That can be a bit finicky without any health. Just because of the fact that you can press self-destruct, which quite often can just completely wedge you through that gap. And he's baiting a bar here. He's picked up a bar, so that's good RNG.
I don't know how I'm supposed to go on living.
I am definitely not.
And
the
it
person
looks
to discuss this
like
with.
we are not going to see any bar bouncing.
One more day in this bunker.
I don't know what to say about that.
Nothing would be bad for me.
I can only apologise.
Efficiency.
We all know 2B is very happy when the bars are bouncing.
Are you saying you need me to be?
but that's still still fast though from wschseng. The bar being faster than the moose, and a bouncing bar even slightly faster than a running bar.
Well, what do you think? Now do you believe we're not a threat?
Your mouth can say.
But yeah, we're just gonna see him come back out now and check out that bar. He's gonna aggravate it, shoot it a bit, and actually gonna take a death to the bar. So that's essentially the reason why we self-destructed at the end of Bouvoir, is so we can annoy our animal and get it to kill us. So what happens in this game when you die is you don't respawn necessarily at a checkpoint. It's the last point you saved at. So sometimes in side quests it will be a checkpoint, it'll set a checkpoint before bosses sometimes, things like that. But yeah, so that allows us to just instantly travel back to Pascal's village. And we're going to see wschseng here head off now to another boss, and Shabu has a bar, and Shabu is bouncing on the bar. So I think we should all be thankful for that. It's truly beautiful. Yep, and you can tell that 2B is definitely a happy girl because she's bouncing on the bar.
We probably shouldn't get near that guy's feet. Yeah, no.
But over on wschseng's screen here, he's making his way towards Engels again. Engels Part 2. Engels in the city, if you will.
Be on the roof of that building up ahead. It'll be dangerous, but we're not going anywhere unless we pass through that Goliath's legs. We should be careful.
So we're just seeing some nice movement essentially to this boss fight. And some really nice routing to get essentially from one corner of the open world to the other in a relatively short amount of time. Okay, and what we're going to see once we get into this boss room is we are going to see that in fact we don't actually need to fight this boss at all. It was just pretending, and unfortunately wschseng couldn't get immediately out there, but yeah, there's just an invisible wall there. If you jump high enough you can get over it, so he uses an angled rock to get a double lift off, which allows us to easily get higher than the invisible wall. And because of that we can completely skip the first boss fight here, get in a flight suit, fly over to this guy, Engels again, in the city again. And we can actually just do 2 pod programs in a specific spot there. His hitbox is completely busted when he throws out some attacks. That's one of them. He'll just soak up all of your missiles there and die. So that's a very nice boss fight. Very simple.
For the first time in centuries, we've intercepted a signal belonging to the aliens. These are the creatures that are in direct command of the machine life forms on this planet.
And we're going to see wschseng head off to another boss fight. So some pretty cool movement along these routes this time.
Guess we'll see once we get there.
And yeah, we're seeing wschseng do some very nice movement there. Just allows him to traverse pretty much that entire section very fast. Get a huge plunge off down and into there. Feels good. Getting those big plunges. And Shabu looking to go. Oh, Shabu, an expert at fitting into small gaps, it seems. That was incredible. He just double jumped straight through the tiny tight hole inside Engels' wall there.
My name is Adam, The aliens you seek are no longer here. They were wiped
But we're
out
seeing Sheng
centuries
here,
ago.
just enter this boss fight
The machines.
against
Wiped
Adam and Eve.
And who knows?
I suppose
Perhaps we'll
technically
learn how
you're
to
only
fight
fighting one of them.
next. Machines are weapons capable of evolution. We can
And this is another boss that's pretty much on the timer, but we're actually going to kill this boss once before that timer runs out. And we're going to do that because he gives us quite a large amount of XP.
You destroyed your own creators?
Oh, there's no need to fret about them. They were simple, infantile, almost like plants, I guess you'd say.
So we can see Sheng here just
To us, but the humans on the
doing some really good space in here, potentially abusing those iframes that he gets from doing the damage glitch.
they killed
Just absolutely melt Eve there.
and yet loved equally.
But now he's got all this time that he has to wait.
What
But
could
instead he's
possibly
gonna
drive
do a
such
perfect evade there,
We have
actually get a counter off,
to
and
unravel
just
this
completely clear that wall.
And now we will allow
What
you
that's
to
gonna
assist us.
actually allow him to do is to leave out of the entranceway from where he came, and he can use this time to pick up even more XP.
Bring them to us.
Just clear this path out.
Dissect and analyze them in order to drag their secrets forth into
He's
the
actually
light
going to
and
pick up
show
some
them
drops as well, so it looks like
Are you insane? We'd never do that.
Sheng may be looking to upgrade that sword again. That's what's inside that bot.
I suppose this concludes negotiations. The only remaining option is to destroy you. The same way we destroyed these pathetic little aliens.
Yep, some machines just come out the wall there. But that's really nice to see from Sheng, just completely clearing out those tunnels there.
Stop complaining.
Yeah, yeah.
2B, this is
And
Operator
that's the
City.
end of that boss
We now
fight.
have an operational transporter in the city ruins. We're attempting to deploy them at other points as well.
About time we had access to those.
Care to fill me in?
Transporters?
Oh, it's interesting you should actually mention ending K, Zmox. Shabu, who we have running here, is actually potentially better known for his ending K speedruns. I believe I think he has like world record in some of them. He's ran a lot of the ending K mackerel percent. It's pretty crazy what you can do if you've never seen that run. How early you can break this game completely. It's very interesting. I think a mackerel run probably around 8 or 9 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, something like that. But yeah, what we just missed there on Sheng's screen is just Jackass telling us that we can actually transport now using the big save boxes. We're going to use that to get back up to the bunker. And we're going to see another dialogue cancel here using the partner dialogue box. And we're going to transport back to Pascal's village, move on with the story. Shabu just picking up the weapon materials again. So looks like both runners here could be going for Virtuous Contract level 3, which is, if you can, it's very unlikely. There's a lot of RNG drops, but if you can, it's insane. Okay, and these are the last buys of the run actually, so we're seeing Sheng sell a load of stuff there, and he's just going to buy up some buffs and some heals. He's actually going to check, and it didn't look like he could upgrade his sword, and he's going to just equip some plug-in chips now. So he's going to equip the one that he bought right back at the start of the run in the first buys, and as many crits as he can.
2B,
What?
when do you think you'll be willing to call me Nines?
9S works just fine.
Well,
And we're going to see Sheng here doing some aerial movement, and he's going to do a big nice long jump at the end of that high jump there, and use that to completely skip a quest essentially. If we walk into it, it forces us to slow down, makes us watch some stuff we don't want to watch. So we just jump really high and really far and go completely over that quest. Pretty cool.
No.
But we are seeing 2B now heading towards the forest, which is an area of the game where a lot of people experience frame rate issues, so it's really cool, but also kind of not.
He's just running away.
It could be cool, depending on if you have a beefcake PC, I guess. But yeah, we're just going to see Sheng here fight these 4 machines that drop down. Another dialogue skip going into that. Skips it. That one's a huge save as well, time save. But yeah, just absolutely massacres those 4 machines. They didn't stand a chance. And like that, Sheng is away and through the forest.
Here they come. Better keep your guard up.
I'm aware of how to fight. You just be careful.
I will, 2B.
So yeah, some cool movement through the through the forest here.
What is with these guys?
Just trying to maximize your efficiency through some horrible terrain, and ooh, it looks like Shabu didn't quite make it far enough to skip that the quest line that I was talking about earlier, which is a shame there. Yeah, we're going to see a huge plunge now from Sheng, right onto this bridge. Beautiful. Looks exquisite every time. And he's going to do some really cool movement here, I believe. Yep. Ooh, oh, and it looks like just a little bit of spaghetti on the inputs there. Nothing too bad though at all. He's just going to go for the backup here with Mario Kart. So that's a cool older skip. Is Mario Kart that he just used as a backup there. We just sort of plunge into that hill, hold SD and slide. So that actually puts us into the trigger to spawn us essentially back up there where he would have jumped to. If he hadn't have landed in the water the first time round. But yeah, he clipped out of bounds there using that tree, and he's going to go around the back of the huge building in the forest and actually climb the windowsills. That's going to allow him to get right up to the top floor and in the room right next to the boss fight. So that's very nice. Yep, and Sheng is just coming into A2 here. That's very nice there. We see him do a bit of aerial movement. Just get as close to that as possible because the game does force you into a slow walk. So there's not too much to say about A2. Fairly straightforward fight. She can attack really fast, but it shouldn't be too much of a huge problem. So Zemox, as we are about to see, there is actually no way to kill A2. We're just going to get her to around 3/4, 4/5 of her health bar, and she'll run away and jump out the window. So what the game wants us to do after that is to chase her out the window, but that leads to a very, very long amount of dialogues. Can waste about a minute and a half, 2 minutes. So we actually turn around and do a high jump over another invisible wall, over the trigger, which would make us turn around. And we can actually just use that transporter to just go to where we need to go. So it's a really good skip. Just saves a lot of time of not being able to do anything because of dialogues. Yep. Now that we're back at Pascal's village, we're just gonna talk to Pascal one more time. And we're gonna go back to the resistance camp.
9S, why did you ask Pascal about A2?
Huh?
It's not recommended to interface with machines without consulting command.
And yeah, we're just gonna see a dialogue skip here once we get into the resistance camp, and we're gonna see a very nice big movement skip. But Shabu just going into A2 here, so he's very, very close behind. Yep, so just running into that section there with the jukebox actually cancels the dialogue. So we're going to see Sheng just jump and sort of get stuck between the boxes and the back wall, and he can clip out there. What he's going to do is he's going to do a huge plunge here, and he's going to hit a trigger from underneath there, so that's the one to say that we've entered the flooded city. He's going to void out there. Because he hasn't hit the ground anywhere, it's going to put him back where he voided out from. And he's going to do another huge plunge, hit the drown zone, and actually spawn right next to where we need to be next for the enemies. So it's a very nice skip there. It saves all the time of getting to flooded city and then running around flooded city to get to this part, which is right at the very end of flooded city. Yeah, some nice combat there from Sheng. And he's just going to jump over to this roof. That skips some more dialogue and immediately makes our flight unit spawn. But unfortunately, Sheng is now going into around 12 to 13 minutes of side-scroller. Side-scroller, vertical shoot 'em up, auto-scroller, dialogue waiting out, just tedium. So yeah, I mean, there's really not much to say with what we're seeing on Sheng's screen here.
Attention, this is Carrier Blue Ridge 2. Requesting support from any friendly
It's probably worth pointing out, actually, at the moment inside the NieR community, there is a full-on legit bounty out for a skip that is usable in any percent to skip this section, this grunt section. So I think the last time I heard from that, it was over $2,000 pounds. I don't know, probably both. $2,000 pounds. And I believe there was a pizza. There's definitely a pizza. And a caffeinated alcoholic beverage if you are above the legal age of drinking in your respective country.
Looks to be 2.8 clicks
But yeah, seriously, the community's dying for a skip to be found for this, because it's a very, very long section where nothing really happens. I know it's certainly led to the burnout of quite a few runners. But yeah, Sheng going into the first boss fight here against the Goliath Flare in this section. And basically the entire strategy of this is just to constantly hold your pod fire, move in as close as possible, so immediately dash towards him and just buff up and fire out both of your pod programs. And then you wait for him to recharge while shooting and using heavy sword attacks, and then that's it. But now, after we've killed the Goliath Flyer, we're going to see the enemy, the big boy that this section's named after. That big boy's Grun. There he is in the background shooting out lasers. He's got cool red glowy stuff that looks like it's spinning around. It looks like 3D projection at like an amazing nightclub. There's some crazy lightning going on behind him. Look at that. Explosions. So yeah, he makes a very, very impressive entrance, but the actual playing of this section does not match the majestic spectacle. So as you can see, it's very much just killing waves, sort of waiting out dialogues, waiting for the auto-scroller to scroll us to the places where we can hit Grun. Or more precisely, the cause on Grun's body. So I'm getting some requests to call Grun a disco whale. And I mean, I guess that's close. He is a disco whale until he stands up, and then he's like just a dude, a big robot dude in the water. And I'd like to point out the water's really, really deep, but when he stands up, apparently his legs are so long it like only comes up to his ankles or knees or something. So it's pretty weird and questionable. Probably worth saying the flyers here give 5 XP each. That's 5 experience points for every flyer you kill. Isn't a lot. It's not much at all. And the flyers actually scale with your level as well. But yeah, we're seeing Sheng just come up to the first car here. There's a strategy here to kill those before it rotates. Which is 5 sword swings, and you just keep your pod fire on it. It'll blow up. Hopefully you'll be able to get all of the 4 corners in one cycle like that. If not, it can troll you, spinning around in ways that you can't hit.
Don't worry, we'll take it from here.
2B, let's leave this area to the reinforcements. I have an idea. You and I should meet up at the spot I just marked.
Yeah, there we go. So if the game was merciful, that would have been the end of it. The laser strike would have killed Grun, but turns out we didn't destroy enough of his shields or something. So we've got to come up with a new plan. So it's a really good job these Yaha flight units show up on the scene. They've got it under control now that we've done all the work. They tell us that we can go, so we do.
Let's try for a more direct approach.
because 9S has a plan, and just like probably all of 9S's ideas, it's a terrible plan. It starts off good. He's like, oh, how about we shoot these, use this giant gun to shoot at Grun.
That enormous machine is an ancient weapon.
So now we're going to drop 3 loads directly into Grun's mouth.
I was part of the machine's network when it happened, so I remember it. The moment it reached land,
So that's beautiful. Grun there, opening wide, like the good boy he is, taking all 3 of those loads directly down his throat. And we're back in the flight units. So 9S's plan, not really good, just made the big boy stand up. Look at that, water to his knees. How long are his legs? How disproportionately long are they below his knee? I'm gonna say very.
Proposal. 9S should be reported to command as a deserter.
And we are back to just killing waves.
Just hold on.
But 9S has got a new idea. I'm sure this one will be much better than the first, and he's just gonna fly away, leave us in battle to fend for ourselves, because he's a great ally. Possibly the best in any game ever. And as we see there, 2B believes in the plan. So we're not actually going to see the we're not going to see 9S's plan in action, unfortunately. But if you play through B route, this section of the game, you will see 9S's plan in action, and it's completely moronic. I won't spoil it here, but let's just say that it makes no sense. And luckily for us, there's more cores now for us to kill, since the first one did absolutely nothing. It's like Sheng having a little bit of bad luck there. Not getting that kill immediately, but he gets it there. So that's the second core down, and Grun is still going. So by normal conventions, that leaves us with 1 left, because it's either 3 or 5 times that you have to do everything. Yeah, we're back to just killing more waves. But yeah, we are finally coming up to core 3 here on Sheng's screen. This is the final core. It looks like this will hopefully be a nice clean kill. Yeah, beautiful there from Sheng. And that's the end of Grun. So Shabu's going to be in Grun for just a little bit longer. But as long as we focus on Sheng's screen, we don't have to worry about that. Everyone can come out of their sleeping accommodations.
2B to bunker. Come in. Oh.
And we're going to see Sheng immediately here use this water to warp him all the way along the flooded city.
Thank goodness.
Never mind that. I need a status report.
Roger that. In regards to the giant machine that attacked the shore, it ceased its resistance.
And what he's going to do again after just a little bit more traversal there is he's going to use another drown warp just to take him to the very entrance of the flooded city. He's going to head through this pipe and come up to one of the harder skips in the game. So this is an extremely precise lineup that we're going to see Sheng go for. So this can be a clip that can kill runs essentially. We've seen some runners just completely avoiding this so much recently, going for older methods or completely around. Sheng there, beautiful, gets it first time. I love the fact that he does 2 backdashes. Just looks like he needs such a huge run up because that clip's so precise.
Never heard of it.
Harnesses all the power of that and just stabs his way straight through that wall. Allows him to plunge right down to right next to that elevator.
What is this?
So Shabu's just going into the final fight of the call, as we're seeing Sheng make his way through the copied city here. And what we're going to see on Sheng's screen very shortly, he's going to enter a boss fight against Adam. And he's going to immediately clip out here because Adam wants to tell us a really long bit of exposition. We're not super into it, so we just clip out there using those boxes, get out the wall, get out the fighting area, and go back to the entrance where we came from. We're going to go back to that elevator and actually use it, call the elevator back down. And when a certain part of the dialogue plays, it means he's entered his last phase of this dialogue. It's kind of split into 3 chunks. The last one being the longest part. He's going to just enter the elevator and get out immediately because there is a soft lock there. And that's going to skip the entire end of that dialogue.
I have severed my connection to the network. Now, let us embrace death.
And now we actually go into the Adam fight here. So the first section of this is just taunting him up. We're going to buff up and get him to a damage threshold. Get this dialogue started. And he's just going to say that, do a little laugh. We're just going to keep up pod fire. We just need to essentially do a tiny bit of damage after that. And that's going to put us into the last part of this fight here. And now we're actually going to kill Adam, finally. Yep, so all the damage are piling on, and that's it. We get Adam there, Adam dead, stabbed completely through the chest. Looks like Shabu had a few problems there with the copied city clip, but he did get it though, so that's nice. Very hard clip. And we're going to see on Sheng's screen here, he talks to that lady there using a computer and jumps out into a dialogue box, essentially cancelling another dialogue.
Something tells me this is going to involve a lot of killing.
So, Sheng just opened a mail from his inbox there, which allows us to, basically gives us the quest information for this next quest in the story. And it turns out that is, just go to the factory. So we're going to see Sheng making his way back to the factory, which is the area from the very start of the game, the prologue. But yeah, Adam gets stabbed real hard through the stomach. He dies.
You don't say.
Indeed. Apparently it's located in the abandoned factory. I can give you the coordinates if you'd like.
Just a tiny bit of movement optimizations there from Sheng.
Maybe we can meet up over
getting a bit airbound there and doing a big plunge over the
Target location
last part of that bridge.
marking on map.
The machines who seek to form an alliance with my village are hiding out here. Still, you should probably be careful. We machines can be rather unpredictable.
Yeah, and Shang in for slow walk here while he's talking to Pascal.
Share data with each other. We can speak, of course, but I find that language contains many ways to hide one's true intentions.
So he's just doing a strat here where we have changed some of our camera settings, which just basically stop it moving by itself. We can position it in a certain spot that essentially upskirts 2B, which makes a kind of swipe at the camera and slightly speeds up her forward movement. So we just put the camera in that place, hold forward, and she keeps swiping, stuck in just doing that animation over and over again. Sheng doing a pretty good Batman impression here. And one of the newer time saves in this category is coming up here. So in this elevator, what happens is Pascal usually enters a really long dialogue. We can actually open a dialogue box with him and it completely skips his dialogue, which means that this elevator moves a lot faster. It actually loads instantly instead of us having to wait for a dialogue for it to then load. That's just a very new small time save that was only found maybe in the last week or two.
I'm here to discuss the peace treaty.
But we're coming up on one of the most intense sections of the run for skips now. Some of these aren't exactly easy to perform as well. So what we're going to see on Sheng's screen is the first of these set of clips. He's going to run completely past all of these enemies and clip straight out of that room. And what that's going to do is that's actually going to reset the enemies. It's going to allow us to use the elevator, which it would not normally let us do. We'd have to kill... It's either a certain amount or specific enemies. We're honestly not sure how it works. But yeah, you would need to do combat there. This allows you to skip that, open that elevator much faster. Now we get down here to 9S room. So normally it'd want us to run through all the way through Deep Factory. We're actually going to clip out here just between this pipe and this wall. So what this actually allows us to do is to void out of bounds here. And this resets the elevator that we came down on, so we can call it again and actually go back up to the room we were just in. So that might sound pointless, but it turns out that the room we were just in is one of the highest points in this entire section of the game. So we're actually going to go to the far wall and clip out using another pipe. So we're out of bounds here. We're going to do a big jump and plunge down. And we're going to hit a trigger in the air as we're falling here. And actually, well, it looks like Sheng just didn't get the last part there, but that's still a huge skip. That saves around, well, I want to say a minute 10, minute 20, something like that. It's a very big time save. And there's an additional bit of the skip that you can do there that would have actually skipped all of this section as well. These crushers, but yeah, as it stands, looks like Sheng's just having to take the crusher route. This is extremely scary. Those crushers will one-shot you and they have horrible hitboxes. They'll land 5 inches away from one of your toes and you might go down.
Exit route secured.
Thanks.
But yeah, this section here, this is where the extended version of the skip would have brought us out. So it just saves around a further 30 30 to 40 seconds, something like that maybe. But yeah, Shabu actually just entering the Mook's room where the section of skips is going to go. And we're seeing Sheng just heading towards the next boss here. So we're going to see Sheng just run to the opposite end of this boss arena. He's going to jump up, plunge into this bridge, actually get caught at the top, and that's going to mean that he doesn't have to avoid the attacks that this boss throws out while he's invincible. But yeah, Shabu there just getting the Mook's room skip, pretty nice. And he's just about to head down towards the 9S room. So yeah, we're essentially just waiting out a timer here on Sheng's screen, and Shabu getting a beautiful first try 9S clip there. But Sheng here is going to taunt up Soshi, this boss. And then he's going to buff up, he's going to come down, and he's actually going to start throwing out some attacks here. And we've seen Shabu just go into the big long plunge clip, the one that has got huge time save. And that's a very nice Soshi fight from Sheng. Just absolutely rip that boss apart. And Shabu here actually manages to hit that trigger. It looks like he's landed as well. Yep, both players not getting the full skip there. So Shabu has to do Crusher's route now. Sheng's just going to make his way back out of the factory here. Okay, so Sheng just trying to move as efficiently as possible through this section. He's going to do a skip that we did in the prologue, just to go around the side of this lava. But at the end he's going to do a double jump into a pod launch there to clip through. In prologue we can actually do that pod launch from the floor without the jumps, but if we do it here we lock onto one of the enemies and pretty much pod launch straight towards the lava.
The resistance camp. What about you?
So yeah, Sheng outside of factory now.
I see.
And he's just moving into the boss rush section of the game.
This is the resistance camp. Say again? I'm not receiving.
Scanning for interference.
The machine requesting it.
So we're gonna see Sheng just try and maintain as efficient movement as possible on his way back to the resistance camp. Some enemies are going to spawn in, so we'll probably see him do some weird movements with the camera just to stop himself from auto-locking on.
Why are there
And
numbers increasing like this?
Shabu is just sort of hanging around at the start of the Soshi fight.
Affirmative.
So Sheng just navigating around those enemies. Probably worth mentioning that the movement we do, the dash swing, actually auto-locks onto an enemy. Like any enemy really that's within range. So we kind of want to keep our camera pointed away from all the enemies. Just allows us to keep up efficient movement. And he's actually come back to find the resistance camp on fire, which is a sad sight. We don't have to kill those enemies, so we just run past them. However, this side-scroller section, we do have to kill all the enemies. So he's just going to do that, just constantly taunting up these enemies, throwing out damage glitches. As they sort of just spawn in and come at you.
You again?
And Sheng about to head off into another boss fight now, this time against Bokushi. Essentially, Soshi's slightly bigger brother. He's just going to be electrifying this water. We don't really care. We run in, taunt up this guy, throw out as much damage as we can.
You okay?
I'm fine.
Yeah, and that's a good Bokushi fight there. Very good from Sheng. Oh, and he's even got an instant vacuum. That's beautiful. At the end there's a whole host of things Bokushi can do instead of dying. But that's great. Just instantly died. And now we're fighting against Core 1. So we pull the core up onto this hilly section here, which allows us just to get a little bit higher, because he drops down when he does attacks. So he's very hard to hit if you fight him on even ground. That's an extremely fast fight there from Sheng. Just completely killed him, and he's deciding to do a spot of fishing here, just as he waits for that cutscene. I like that. That was extremely swaggy. Extremely swaggy fishing. Blue, I'm honestly not sure. I don't have the PB times, but I mean, he's certainly on very, very good pace.
It seems the machines on the network have gone berserk. They've sealed off the entrance to the village and are trying to hold them off, but with these weapons, there's only so much we can do.
Let's take these guys out first.
So Sheng's just going to come into another section of combat here, just kill all these enemies at the gate of Pascal's village. And that's going to cause Core 2 to spawn. So we're going to throw out as much damage as we can here on Core 2, and hopefully Sheng manages to get this in one cycle. Yep, no problem there. Immediately cancels a dialogue, like immediately after that fight as well, using 9S. Extremely tight timing to get that. And he's making his way now towards the end fight of the game. Sheng going into the final fight here against Eve. This boss can be very tough. He'll kill you in about 3 attacks, potentially. So what we're going to do for this first phase is just do as much damage as possible. Just keep up the DPS. And that's great. There's an attack he can do in that first phase called platforms. He summons all these platforms out of the ground. It's horrible, it loses loads of time, so if we can keep the damage up enough, we can completely skip that. And now phase 2, essentially just the same, just keep up the damage. And 9S will actually hack into Eve here, and that'll create the start of phase 3. Yep, there it is, and here we go, phase 3. So there have been some new strats found for this phase. Using self-destruct, so it'll be interesting to see if either player go for them. Hopefully we will see it though. But this fight is very much taunting up shooting, pod firing, getting in as much damage as you can, any way you can. You're seeing Sheng here doing some pod launches to cause a little bit of stagger when he hits him and just allows him to get off a combo. Yep, and look at that, he's, yep, beautiful. Sheng gets right underneath him there, make sure he's buffed up, make sure he's taunted up. Just does a full self-destruct there. Actually does quite a large amount of damage to Eve. So that's the new strat that has been discovered recently. Can speed up that fight by a reasonable chunk of time. And it puts us straight into phase 4 here, where we can't attack anymore, we can't dodge, all we can do is shoot.
But you'll lose you, the you that exists at this very moment.
Guess so.
Yep, and that's a really good game there from Sheng. His time is still green, I'm not sure if that's a PB.
9S.
It's certainly a fast time.
Please, Tubi. I want you to do this for me.
Yep, and that's a 1:29.03 there from Sheng. Very, very nice time. Really good race there.
Damn it! They're here too!
9S! It seems the machines on the network have gone berserk. They've sealed off the entrance to the village and are trying to hold them off, but with these weapons, there's only so much we can do.
Let's take these guys out first.
Yeah, really good time from Sheng. Sub 130. It's, you know, something that only the better players in the game can do. But overall, that was a very good run from Sheng there. Very, very good run. Solid performance all around.
You saved us! Oh, thank you so much!
What happened here?
The machines on the network all went berserk at the same moment. I think the unit presiding over them may have
I'm
gone
not
mad.
sure if Sheng's gonna jump in to the
If we destroy this
commentary
unit,
or not
stop the rest.
to run that over. Can do if he wants.
Pod, I need you
I'm
to
sure we'll
locate
find out.
Jim's
But we're
current
seeing
position.
Location has
Shabu
been
just
detected
taking out
and
Car
placed
2
on
here.
map.
We'll take care of Eve.
You just worry about keeping the village safe, okay?
Do be careful.
Everything must die! Why did you kill my brother?
And Shabu coming into the final boss fight of the game here, fighting against Eve.
Alert. Massive energy signature detected.
What is it?
The energy seems to be coming from a large number of linked machine life forms.
He's absorbing the life force of whatever's left on the network.
Damn it! We'll never get anywhere like this. I'm going to try hacking into Eve and shutting him down. Back me up!
Oh, and we see Eve almost getting off the platforms there. That's the attack that can lose a decent chunk of time. Shabu been good enough there, keeps up the damage. That attack doesn't finish off, so that's great.
Enemy unit cut off from network functionality.
NieR taking a while to hack there. That's unfortunate to see. But yeah, Shabu moving into phase 3 here. It's going to be interesting to see if Shabu does the self-destruct strats.
Alert. NFCS destroyed. Close range combat no longer operable.
And he is going for the SD strats. Very nice. Gets it off. It's a surprising amount of time save, that strat. Really good.
I must have been corrupted when Eve detached from the network.
And Shabu just finishing up here on the last phase.
I can always reload.
Very last phase of Eve here.
But you'll lose you, the you that exists at this very moment.
Guess so.
High
But I
tech.
can't upload this corrupted data.
Hey Sheng, great race. Congratulations, man.
So,
Thanks.
9S.
That was a fantastic race, man. It was good to watch. Is there anything you want to say about the run?
I didn't expect it
these two
to be that fast, honestly, and with so many mistakes.
Was that actually a PB for yourself?
No, it's no PB. I have
No.
separate splits for the tournament.
Ah, okay, yeah, I was wondering what that was, but yeah, it's still a really fast time. Nearly sub 129.
Yeah, it was good. Great. We both got punches on prologue. GG.
Hey Shabu.
Howdy.
That was a great race, man. Congratulations on finishing there, Shabu. And yeah, it was really good to watch and commentate. Is there anything you'd like to say about the run?
Nothing positive. But yeah, thanks, Shang. Good stuff. Congrats.
Thanks. Almost 4 minutes behind.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that race was so close. Through prologue and just after, it was absolutely neck and neck. You were trading who was in second by, about a second or two.
Yeah, I started screwing some stuff up pretty bad. I definitely gonna need to rest my hand a lot.
Yeah, and unfortunately, a few of the runners seem to have hand problems. This game doesn't necessarily help with that.
No, the combat can be brutal. Especially, I'm an idiot. I use nearly default controls, so
Oh god.
that's
Unplayable.
definitely the only thing I changed is I put SD on right stick click as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, combat hurts a bit. But yeah, good race, man. Good stuff. Nice time. Nice race time. Congratulations. I'm gonna go ice my hand.
Okay.
See you guys later.
See you later. Fantastic race.
Yep.
Okay, Venturing. Unless there's anything you want to say, I'll just sign off.
Well, nothing to say.
Alright, man. Thank you very much for the race. Okay, well, thank you everyone for watching. We'll just say thanks to Canaris, thanks to all the mods who helped set this up, thanks to everyone for running this tournament, Speed Gaming for hosting it. Yeah, I hope you all had a nice time. If you enjoyed the stream, please look into joining the Discord, please look into learning the run. You can run it on any platform, and I hope you all have a great day. See ya!